Welcome to Redvee TV's Instant Fan Reaction, supported by Chapel House for the 2023 season. As St Helens are champions of the world for the third time in the club's history, with the greatest result in the history of the British game as they defeat the Penrith Panthers 13 points to 12 after golden point extra time in their own backyard. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.
Can't travel. War beats the Aussie team away from home. The Super League is so far short of the NRL. Penrith will be able to declare at half-time. They all aged like a fine milk.
As the Carpenters themselves said, I'm on the top of the world looking down on the Wigan. You know what I mean? Roughly. Brilliant. What can you say? A more nervous, tense, wearing out the carpet floor, pacing up and down Saturday morning you could never ask for. But what a performance by the boys. I mean, to lose Tommy Mack as well, one of your better players, to start without Joe Batchelor, one of your best forwards in the past year or so. You know, against, admittedly, maybe a not under strength, but certainly, you know, underprepared perhaps. Penrith, they didn't have much action last week with their senior players, but those are excuses that they'll throw up. We've gone to Penrith, the best team in the NRL by a country mile, and we've beaten them in their own backyard, poor conditions, and we still toughed it out. Absolutely unbelievable.
Is it a fair question to ask round about now? How do we think Penrith would go in Super League?
I think they definitely make the playoffs, I think.
Just about. Listen, Kev, we were on it from minute one. We looked up for it. We completed sets. We looked dangerous with ball in hand. But once again, built on the magnificent defence brought into the club by Christian Wolf, who worked alongside his protege in the coaching booth today. But I'll be honest, I don't think Mr. Wellens needed any assistance whatsoever to mastermind that one.
Nice to see a consultant in there, though, just for that big game, just to guide him through, make sure if he needed to bounce anything off him. It's tremendous seeing Christian involved. And you know what? I know Paul Wellens is head coach of this club and everything's down to Paul Wellens today. But it's good to see him having that nod and being involved and being in the Saints' colours. It's fantastic to see. As you say, we build winning championships on our defence and then add forward play and skillful backs into that mix. We've got a process of playing. We spoke about it last week and we stuck to that. And listen, people can start racking up their excuses about Penrith's team and whatever they want to. I don't care. We stuck to what we do. And we've done it tremendously. That first half was absolutely outstanding. And second half, if I'm going to be ultra critical of us, the game management with that drop goal towards the end, not the greatest. But as an overall, that is like me picking at 0.5% of a game when I've just absolutely been bouncing round at Lewis Dodd slotting over that drop goal, because that is just, it's deserved. We're the best team in the world now. We didn't need that to cement our legacy. But you know what? It's a lovely little cherry on top, isn't it?
Oh, is it ever? I mean, you're absolutely right in how you describe the Saints' philosophy. We've got, it's just down to sheer hard work with a wee bit of stardust sprinkled on top, so we can pull a rabbit out of the hat at any time. But it's all based on 13 guys on the field working hard for each other, covering each other, putting their bodies on the line, and the attitude. Now, we've seen Saints teams in the past not have that attitude, and it's been blindingly obvious, but this team, even when they're under the cosh, doesn't look as if they're going to collapse. They just work so hard, and it's, I mean, how jealous are we of guys like Dave Howarth, Kev Cunningham, and all the Saints fans out in Australia right now. I think we'd all love to be there, but it was still good, as you say, bouncing around this morning. Trying not to wake my better half up. She was still in her bed, not bothering. Trying to like, jump about and celebrate and not wake her up, which I managed to do. I don't know how. But what a feeling, when that drop goal went over. These are the greatest of times, and I'm glad Wilfie was there. He's been a massive part of where we are, and he deserves to share in the moment with Wello and the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think, listen, that magnificent support we had, I think there looked like there was 1,000 fans behind the sticks. We saw Dave Rigby also dancing on Channel 4 at half-time. But
before the watershed as well, you know what I mean?
But to have that support over there really spurred us on. Against what I thought was a really disappointingly quiet Australian crowd. I know noise isn't really in their culture, but they looked a little bit shell-shocked by the way Saints performed. Obviously, Phil Gould, esteemed Aussie pundit last week, said Penrith would be able to declare at half-time. Well, I wish they had, because it would have saved that heart rate at the end. But we didn't just score, right, barreling over forwards in front of the sticks. The first try comes from a tremendous piece of play from a quick play of the ball. And Johnny Lomax, who we said after he didn't have the best of games last week, wouldn't have 2 in a row. And he plays a little wonder short pass to put Sirenan through a gap, who then races 40 metres, and Jack Wellesby's on his shoulder to go in under the sticks and give Saints the perfect start.
Hang that line by Curtis Sirenan in the Louvre. I mean, what a line. That was Bachelor-esque. You know, we've obviously not got Batch playing, but Big Cyril was an absolute colossus in attack for that run. I mean, a beautiful line. And in defence, tackle, and without looking as if he'd made a tackle, he could still hit as hard in the 81st minute as he did in the first minute. Absolutely incredible. Wonderful try. And, you know, Jack Wellesby's going to be there as well. And, of course, you know, a kind of short side move for Big Connie's try as well, who did very well. People have before. A lot of people, not just you, Kev, have mentioned his defence sometimes flies out. But he was a lot more considered and thoughtful, and held his position really well. So full credit for him as well, in defence as well as for his attack.
Yep.
Kev, we received with a second try to put Saints 10-0 up. Us going down that short blind side, and Connie Harrell bundling over. And that is the best of Connie Harrell in attack, isn't it? He's just near that line with a bit of a run onto it. He's pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, when you kind of the size of Connie, he's good for getting us out of our own kind of 20 with them runs. But you're right, you put him on a little short ball there, it's difficult to stop him. He's just got the power, and he's just got the will to get over that line. You're right, and Peter, you're right as well. Alluded to defence of Connie, and where you just wanted him to tighten up a bit. He's 100% done that. He's done that. The try is a lovely little lovely little bit towards his attacking play, but all round, I thought he was good tonight. And there was no one who you turn around and thought weak links there. It looked like we were all on it. We had last week where we won the game but made a lot of errors. It seemed like, yeah, there were some errors, but they weren't quite as big, quite as magnified. So there was no real racing out the line and a missed tackle. Saw Percy do it a couple of times where he's come out the line and hit the player. It's kind of stopped them there. But that's it. Listen, Wellesby with a try and then a try assist for Connie. Great to see. Great to see, considering we went through quite a bit straight after that. When we ended up with Tommy Makinson's head injury assessment, conceded a goal line dropout, and had to reshuffle the whole of the back line from going from Makinson, Harrell, Percival, Hopper to having Hopper, Harrell, Sione, and Percy, and that is big. And we still managed to defend well. I think there was a moment where you think we're not quite set here, and there was I think they made a break down the middle, and they were kind of passing it out. Our defensive line looked like looked like a bag of.
Yes.
But we kind of sorted that, and we were just so switched on, absolutely switched on. I'm not allowed to swear because I'll get a booking.
Do you know? Listen, I think all bets are off today. Do you know when we hear of when we've heard like the likes of Christian Wolf and Paul Wellens, and yes, we do big plays, but they focus on the little things. Those extra 5-10% plays where that extra effort has won us games. There was one of those in the first half for me. I think it was Nathan Cleary going for the line. Jack Wellesby manages to turn him over, and Morgan Knowles just comes in with a hand to knock the ball away just as he's going to ground it. Those are the moments that you have to get right if you're going to win World Championships, Grand Finals. And that was one of those moments that may well be overlooked by many in when you're looking back in years to come at the glory of the tries and Lewis Dodd slotting the ball over at the end. But those little moments gave you that little bit of hope that something special was going to happen tonight.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, that's a try. Maybe even more than 99 times out of 100. And other teams would concede that try because no one would go and support the first guy that's making the tackle. But as I alluded to earlier, the guys work hard for each other. So it wasn't just left to Jack to make the tackle. Knowles comes in and, he, stops him, Cleary turning over and then touching it down, kind of in the tackle. So those are the little 1%, as you say, that turn defeats into wins, that turn runners-up prizes into nice, shiny pots that go in the cabinet in Trophy Town, which will have to be extended, to about 10 feet tall.
Sorry, I must interrupt, Peter. Carl Fitzpatrick did an interview at Warrington on Thursday night, and he looks like he's got a nice couple of cabinets empty, apart from some boots and things they're keeping in them, which he could ship over to us. Kev, obviously 10-0 at half time. Did you ever get the impression that when it was announced before the game that the weather had turned in Penrith and it was bucketing it down? Did anybody have 2001 and 2007 feels that it was just going to be in our favour?
Yeah, that's it. I was looking on Twitter and people were asking what the weather was like, and somebody said, actually, it's just like Catalan. It was like there was a nice breeze coming through, and then obviously when it starts, when the weather turns, you think, well, this is an equaler anyway. This is definitely in our favour. We play in these conditions all the time. So yeah, there was a little bit of that. Just going back to that tackle by Jack Wellesby, I did like Ashley Klein when Nathan Cleary asked if the ball had been knocked out, and he said, "No, you've just got to hold to it tighter."
Yeah,
just like that. I mean, there were a couple of things that were say questionable decision-wise, but I did like that. But that's it. It was very 2001, 2007, playing the bucketing down rain. They don't quite click, don't quite fancy it. And you know what? We did.
And when you think about years back, when I don't like to hark back to losing grand finals, but when we played Leeds at Old Trafford, it was like, oh no, it's raining. We don't want that. But now Saints are probably the ultimate all-weather team. We'll skin you alive when it's sunny, and we'll tough it out and we'll beat you at the end when it's chucking it down. So there's no weather that teams particularly want it to be when they're facing Saints, because there's no advantage that you get regardless of the conditions. And that says as much about the team as anything else for me.
I noticed we abandoned the 20-minute quarters as well.
That
rule just didn't materialise. But obviously that little bit of lightning at half time as well, just delaying the second half start by 5 minutes or so. Everything just gives you that little bit of extra just to get a little bit more air in the lungs and gas in the wheels. Not put gas in the wheels, you know what I mean. But then you felt coming out second half, we needed to make sure that we didn't concede early. and allow Penrith to get that little bit of a roll on. And we got through the first couple of sets. Then we go and get a penalty, and we just settle the game down by taking it to 12-0. And it just gave us that little bit of breathing space. And then when Penrith's first drive did come, it came on the back of just a long kick over that we just didn't quite deal with.
Yeah, it was off the back of a penalty as well. We give away a penalty in midfield. Then, as you say, not dealing with that kick over the top. You're right with the two. I think that can be underrated sometimes. Taking the two and A, clicking the scoreboard on, but B, making that scoreboard pressure. Just that extra two to make it that they do have to score twice and convert just to come level.
Yeah.
I think it's a wise move. As you say, just settle the game down. Another minute where you're getting gas in the tank and air in your lungs. And it's always the right decision for me.
Plus, of course, it meant that at 12-0 at any stage, although we missed both of them, we could go for the drop goal in normal time. We had that, option, which unfortunately we didn't take, which would have saved us all a lot of stress and trauma in those last few minutes, and then golden point. But third time's a charm, I think, as someone once said.
Yeah, and listen, I think those of us watching were maybe calling for that 1 point a little bit earlier than we tried for it, because we got into position down that end of the field quite a few times, and it would have obviously stretched it to Penrith needing to then still go and get 2 scores. The first attempt by Johnny Lomax, yes, they say he was a little bit wide, but I think he likes taking it from that sort of angle. And then the second one, did Dodd actually slot it over before the penalty was given, or did it go wide?
No, it went over, but the penalty had already been given.
Yeah, I never actually seen a behind shot to see whether it actually went through. I personally didn't think there was an awful lot wrong. Our players were stood there, but they didn't seem to block for me. But yeah, call went against us there. And another massive call that went against us was the Jack Wellesby cut-out pass to Will Hopewati. Aussies tried to give themselves the calls to try and save face. Didn't work out. But no. Did it look forward to you?
No.
Me neither, to be honest. It was one of those, you'd see it go 9 times out of 10. And at that stage, if we score that, we're up to 18. I think that would have made it 18-6 at the time. And I genuinely feel would have won the game comfortably from then. Easy to say that now, of course, but at that point, I think it would have set any comeback from Penrith, set them back in their heels, because I think that would have taken we're full of metaphors today. Wind out their sails quite significantly at that point, to have to go and score 12 points just to pull level again. But perhaps it was just all part of the drama. It's you think back to the 2020 grand final as well, with Jack's try. We love the drama of it all. After it's done, at the time, it's really it's so nervous and so tense. But perhaps these finals should be a bit like that. It shouldn't be easy to win the World Club Challenge, and we're not going to get every decision in our favour. No, we're not going to get every bounce to the ball. But the resilience that the boys showed, especially going into Golden Point, having been 90 seconds away from winning it outright before that. I mean, that's getting up off the canvas to do that shows, tells you everything you need to know about this team.
From that point on in the game, Kev, the clock's ticking down. I never actually felt we were under really heavy pressure. We were kicking long. Lussick came on for the final 10. His kicking game was really good when he came on, I thought. Yep. Johnny Lomax kicking into the corner. The Penrith sets were finishing round about our 30. Their main tactic was trying the high bomb, wasn't it? And we very, very, very nearly got to the end of the game. And Jack, under heavy pressure, spills that one. And they pick up and score with a minute to go. And all of a sudden, there's oh no, isn't there? And
we don't have that too often. In fact, this is the juxtaposition of it, that the last time we had something like that was possibly Wakefield away last year, where we had to win in Golden Point. The pit of your stomach is just, it just drops. It's dropped even. I can't speak this morning. Too excited. It just dropped when the ball went down from Jack Welsby under pressure and he went in, and you're hoping that Cleary misses the kick, but he doesn't miss that type of kick. I mean, I think his record's like 84%. I think it came up on screen. It's not a difficult one that you wouldn't have thought of somebody of his caliber. So yeah, and then you just hoping, don't do anything stupid from the kickoff.
Yeah.
Hit it along the deck if you need to. Don't put it too far. Don't put it dead. But make sure your chase is good, because now that game management that I was calling for the drop goal here from about 65 minutes on, saying you've got to start looking at that and you've got to make the effort to get in position for it. That game management then comes down to 30 seconds of play. And thankfully we got through that all right.
But then,
I was going to say, I didn't
Golden
say,
Point.
Yeah, I didn't say, oh no, when Welsby dropped the ball. I said something slightly more fruity. But I think we all felt that. I was like, you're just hoping that Cleary slipped when he was going for the conversion or something, or that would force them further out wide. But as you say, we got through that 30 seconds. Then the toss of the coin was important. We chose to receive the ball first, which I think was a pretty decent idea. Sorry, kick off, put them deep. But yeah. So, and we got the turnaround and forced the mistake from them as well. Very lucky for them that it perhaps wasn't a penalty against Luai, but it worked out all right in the end. But we managed that situation very well. Showed a lot of character. A team that's used to winning titles doesn't choke in a situation like that.
So then we go to Golden Point, extra time. We don't win the toss, and Penrith choose to receive the ball. We do well defensively to make them finish on halfway, and then they kick long. The ball goes into the in goal, and as we've talked about earlier with the 1%ers, Mark Percival, to find a way to get back into the field of play.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do that, I suggest we will be sitting here in a defeat, because it would have been a dropout. Penrith, you'd suspect, would have had a good set to get bang in front of the sticks and slotted one over. But those massive efforts, we spoke about it in the preview show, Kev, in terms of Mark Percival being a big game player, the man for the big occasion.
He was imperious.
He got himself there, and Saints survived that first early minute and managed to make some good meters eventually with Alex Walmsley getting forward with the ball before we kick long and putting Penrith under some pressure.
Yeah, I thought, as I say, Percy was tremendous today, and as you say, the 1%ers, they matter. They absolutely matter. I'd suggest that, as you say, if he doesn't get out of the in goal, this video's over by now.
Yeah. Yes.
We're not talking as in depth about the game as this. Yeah. We're done, dusted. Spat me dummy out and got on with my day. But yeah, I think we can pick quite a few players who have played well today. But you're right, that was key in us being able to put Penrith under pressure. And let's go full circle back to force the error. Whose hit is it? Connie Harrell's. Absolutely tremendous tackle, knocking the ball free. I don't think Crichton had the best game, but that doesn't make him drop the ball having a bad game. It's the error that's been forced by Connie there. So once again, I always find myself kind of going back on what I say about Connie. It was a concern. That hit ends up getting us the point that wins us the game.
Exactly, and I think
Oh, sorry, Peter. I was going to say, I know we
that's it.
challenged it, didn't we, to see whether the Penrith player was offside. And he said it come off Connie's back. I'm not sure that's correct, whether he meant that and whether that makes the negates any offside from the Penrith player. Maybe wrong, but I'm actually glad we didn't win that challenge, because we would have gone for 2 from there, and I don't think it was the easiest of kicks either.
Well, yeah, but Percy's the best kicker at the club, so you're putting your house on Percy being able to do it. And probably Percy saying, "Yeah, all right, I reckon I can do this from here." But yeah, listen, it all worked out. We're champions of the world. We're going to be unburnable for another season.
No, it was set up for Lewis Dodd. And to think I sat here a couple of weeks ago on his season preview, or before St George game, and was saying, I wonder whether we will put him straight back in, given the amount of time he's had off. He's done 80 minutes there. He has stood up and looked every. Well, Kev, you've said it before. Don't expect prime Sean Long. I'm sorry, but the lad's ready.
Oh yeah,
absolutely tremendous. Already going to be one of the best, if not the best halfback in Super League. You can keep your Brodie Crofts. He stood up when it mattered. He didn't look like a young player in that team. He led us around the field. His kicking game was tremendous, and he was the man for the biggest of moments. I think I remember we tweeted him, or we sent him a message after. I don't know whether it was the 2019 grand final where he didn't play, and we said to him, "Your time will come."
Yeah,
and there it is.
At that moment as well, he'd have been excused for standing back and letting Wellesby or Lomax hit the drop goal at that point. But he thought, no, get that ball to me, and that speaks volumes for his comeback from injury and the fact that he wants to lead the team and boss the team, and that's a great thing. Because if Lomax had stood there, he said that's fine. Johnny's the experienced guy for the moment, but with Doddy to be like, nah, get that ball back here. I'm going to win us this World Club Championship. I mean, fair play, absolutely, but I've made up for the boy. He deserves it after the injury hell he's gone through. So I'm delighted it was him.
Now, can I just say, obviously, Tommy Makerton, because of the failing the HIA, won't be able to play next week against Cass. I thought T. Ritson would be a shoo-in to come in next week to replace him. But seeing the speed that Eamon McManus made the middle of that field after that drop goal went over, I thought T. Ritson had put a suit on. The pace of the chairman, unreal.
Oh,
what's his defence like though?
Listen,
it was great to see, wasn't it?
I think we need to put our hands up to play next week, because I don't think any of them 17 should be forced to play.
No, same. I've just put a tweet on my own Twitter account saying, if somebody off that team doesn't beat David Boone, the Aussie cricketer's boozing record on the flight home, they're doing it wrong. Listen, enjoy yourselves. Everybody out there, enjoy themselves. Fans, players, support staff, coaches, whoever you are, enjoy yourselves out there. And enjoy yourselves on the way back home. We'll put another scrap side out against Cass. Doesn't matter.
Does anyone care what we do next week?
No, Cass fans will, because Cass fans will love to kind of rub it in. But you know what? No Saints fan will care. No Saints fan cares.
Who'd have thought we'd been going to Weldon Road next week? And for those who've been to Australia, seeing the stadium as a step up.
You're not a fan, are you, the Aussie stadiums?
Do you know what? Kev Cunningham's obviously done a tour of quite a few of them, and I'm not being funny, but from some of the photos that I've seen he's put up, it's the equivalent of going to Widnes and the Shea and Weldon Road, and considering it's meant to be the best, greatest competition in the world, the stadiums are atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's so many of them have got like grass banking on the side. You think there should be, palatial stadia like the Totally Wicked, for example. But and these clubs have got so much have an increased budget compared to what like the Saints have. You think, well, surely they should invest that in some of their infrastructure, but you know, that's up to them. I suppose they can have open air stadia because they've got the weather that can deal with it. Whereas it's not so much, when Totally Wicked or Langtree Park, when it first opened, people were desperate for cladding round about the stadium. Doesn't that chat seem like a million years ago? But it is what it is. I don't think the Saints fans will be caring. They'll be soaked, but they will not be caring one jot after that today.
Kev got that excited. He decided to nip away and come back.
Just filling me cup full of lager again. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Right. Next question then. Is that the greatest achievement of any British Rugby League club ever? Given, I know Wigan have gone and done it in the mid-90s, but that was in a different world where finances were a lot different. To go over there and beat the Aussies in their own backyard when their salary cap is 4 or 5 times what ours is, and for it not to be a fluke, we deserve the victory. It could have been wider if we weren't robbed of a Will Hopewati try. Is that the greatest achievement, not only of any British Rugby League club, but, well, in our history? And should we just fold the club now?
Yes to the first point, no to the second. Well, there's no doubt about it. It's definitely the best achievement. People can say Penrith were perhaps undercooked, but then again, if they'd taken it as seriously as they should have, guys like Cleary and Luai should have got some minutes last week. So that's on them. We've just got to look at what Saints did. We can only play what's put in front of you. Saints were overall the better team. We deserved it. We've won away from home, in a different continent against the supposedly untouchable Panthers. There's no one can take that away from us. No one can downplay that. These are the very, very best of times for Saints. Even when we lose next week, and I say when, although I wouldn't write us off. So last year the youngsters at Cass gave a good knock, but listen, these are the greatest of times, and we've got to milk it. We've got to lap it up. We've just got to enjoy it as much as possible because, will we see this again? Who knows? But best achievement by an absolute country mile. No one can say otherwise.
I think Kev's froze again.
Oh dear. Oh.
So we'll carry on talking.
Yes.
While he comes back.
But I had to go.
Hopefully he'll return in a moment.
Hopefully.
I don't even want to think about next week. It's just,
I know.
Let's just live off the buzz. Would you be surprised if any of them missed the flight home?
Well, and the follow-up question is who is the most likely, apart from Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook? Let's just say it now. Well, listen, next week it's round 1 for us. We've got plenty of rounds to make up for points lost. But I say there's lots of players who could come in next week. You mentioned T. Ritson, John Bennison can come in, Ben Davis. There's lots of guys. Joey Lussick didn't get many minutes this week.
Redvee's Dan Hill.
Redvee sponsored Daniel. Oh yes,
Redvee's Dan Hill at fullback. I suspect we'll see Johnny Bennison and T. Ritson on the wings.
I think so.
I'll play hooker. You can play prop.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's an inspired choice. And
Kev can come off the bench, Joey Lussick style, for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yes.
After you've had 8 beers on the sidelines.
Probably.
But yeah, listen. For Paul Wellens, in terms of his coaching career at St Helens, not that I ever believed that he would need it, is that the biggest victory that he could get to solidify himself as the Saints head coach? Obviously, I don't think there's any pressure on him now. I think he's established just from an 80-minute game.
Yeah.
Well, that's a massive call, but yeah, I think it does take pressure off. And I think if you lose that one and you lose it quite heavily, I know excuses will come out, but there would be pressure going into, say, the Cas game. And there doesn't have to be now. There's no pressure on it at all. Absolutely zero, because we're still going to be riding this wave of being champions of the world, and we're going to ride this wave probably until October.
Yeah, I think the job well has is to make sure the guys get back and focused for the Super League as quickly as possible. Perhaps next week might come too soon, but the week after against Leeds, I think it is. We need to start and focus, because we won't get away with losing our first two in Super League. Regardless of this, people will say you can't be doing that. You get one off for free, but we want to get the guys focused.
You hard taskmaster, you Peter. Listen,
I'm right.
The disappointing for me is that I want to see us have a season where we go completely unbeaten and win every game, and unfortunately, I don't think that's going to survive next week. But there we go. But listen, never write the Saints off. A couple of tweets before we finish. Let's see who's come through, who's still going. What a turnout by the fans. Johnny Blue BMX. Mark Baines, not bad for two friendlies. Looks loads to improve on. Letting Panthers score 12 was poor. PJ, only one force mentioned, proud champions of the world. Be a Saint saying we've been in decline for the last 4 years, according to other fans. As long as this decline continues, bring on the 5, Pete. Andrew Swift is in tears. Greatest win in the club's history after being slated by the press, given no chance. Bucky's given 20-point start. I'll be honest, I have my doubts, but I should have learned by now after being watching Saints since 1983 to never write the Saints off. Andrew Foster saying we need to learn how to kick drop goals because Salford wouldn't have given us 3 goals. He's still sick. That joint fell over. Red Silver Fox, the team spirits and desire to be the best, to beat the best against the best was so evidence. It's going to be a great season. Darren Leatherrow champions. Tweet over. Mal Kangi, the best win in the club's history, bar none. The most complete and professional performance he's seen. Relentless, and all the effort areas were incredible. Baz Dev, Wigan fan, fully deserved it. There you go.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Baz, good man. Hope you're well.
St Elsie, Lynn, losing Tommy feared the worst, but Saints winning mentality shone through, even struggling off some dodgy calls. How do you beat that? 5 in a row would be up there. No, it wouldn't.
No.
Nothing will beat that result today, ever.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Unless we go over there again and win more dominantly. But then the first time is always the sweetest.
Absolutely. No, listen, if we do 5 in a row, that's great. But this is the one that people will be talking about in 20, 30 years. And that's what makes legends when you talk about it 20, 30, 40 years later. And this will be discussed, decades from now without any shadow of it.
What a segue that is, because the last tweet I'm going to read out is from Stephen Bate. When we are all worm food in many, many years to come,
a lovely thought.
This game will still be shown on TV under the heading of the greatest ever. And the cherry on top was seeing jamming in the crowd with a pint. And like they say, once a Saint. They will show the game again. Yeah. Unfortunately, if Sky are showing it, you're probably not going to see the trophy presentation because they switched to the other NRL game. But all I'll say is God bless Channel 4. That is why we have a public service broadcaster in public hands. The Tories wanted to get their hands on it and sell it off. But they said, no, we will show Saints in all their glory.
Absolutely. Excellent. And can I just say, in a totally unrelated piece of news, and I don't know if you might have noticed this, fellow Saltire Saint and friend of Redvee, Nick Thorburn, was called up by the Scotland Rugby League squad.
Excellent.
Excellent.
So, fair play to Nick. Hope you're watching, mate. Delighted for you. Mate, get your Saltire Saints polo shirt on underneath the Scotland kit, and we'll all be fully behind you, mate. Well done.
Who are they playing?
I genuinely can't remember, but he shared it on Facebook. I don't think it's the most high profile of rugby league internationals, but for Nick, the best.
It's brilliant.
He's been called up by a country.
Game I'm going to play in, Peter.
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant
none of us
news.
could do it. None of us
Brilliant
could do it.
news
Brilliant.
for Nick, but you're probably still going to get beat.
Listen,
Harsh.
I'm not having an Englishman slagging any form of Scottish rugby at the moment. All right.
Shut up, Peter. Muted. Right. Right. That's us done and dusted. St Helens are champions of the world for the third time. The club built it as history in the making. They knew, they believed, the fans believed, the players believed, and the club got it done. World champions in the darts, champions of Super League, and now our rugby league team are for the third time world club champions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will be back with even more during the week. Catch you soon.